On this episode of the Bronze Metalist podcast, we talk about sounds of a playground fading, which is not you simply driving away from your unattended child. It's an album by the Swedish band In Flames.
Has nothing to do with abandoning your children.
So that's a plus, I'd say.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode, because you paused it for the intro, right? Welcome back to this episode.
The printer's still going.
Just realizing that syntax doesn't quite work. But yeah, this is the Bronze Metalist podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
And we talk about metal albums and stuff. We haven't explained the
premise in
quite a while, in a long time.
I feel like we sort of left that
What do
out.
you want from us? Fuck you.
No, you're lovely people.
I think you're all hideous. And I hate you. Except for my family members. You're good.
Is this good cop, bad cop? Is that what we're doing here?
It might be. Like I said in the intro, we're talking about Sounds of a Playground Fading.
Their 2011 album.
Yes, from In Flames. So we'll get to that. Some stuff, I guess. I don't know. I ordered a Panopticon shirt.
Sweet.
It should be on its way soon enough. It's really hard to find merch for that band.
Is it? Why
for some reason? Well, because there's a couple different stores. I think there was only one that officially carries their merch, and it might be like Austin Lund's official. It might be his thing.
It's in his garage
or something like that. Where it was called Bindrune Recordings, which might be like his own deal or something. There was stuff for other bands too, and they were all, like Wolves in the Throne Room type folk black metal bands.
Sure.
That sort of type. So I don't know. That might be.
Is that where you got your shirt from?
Yeah, I got my shirt from Bindrune Recordings.
It's gonna smell like stored bicycles and oil.
Maybe. Maybe it's going to smell like the earthy tones of rural Kentucky. I don't know.
It could.
Well, now it would be rural Minnesota. Panopticon's next week.
All right. We'll get to that.
We'll get to that. What else did I do in the last week?
You got your hair cut.
Yeah, I got a haircut. I got all of them cut.
Probably not all of them.
No, I'm pretty sure all of them got cut.
They did the legs? Did they?
Okay, all of the hairs on the top of my head.
Okay.
That are not on my face. I also cut all of the hairs on my face.
You look about 10 years younger.
I'm just a little boy now. Just a little boy with his Kim Jong-un haircut, as one of our co-workers pointed out to me this morning.
I never would have dawned on me until he said that.
And then as soon as he said that, I was like, fuck, this is a Kim Jong-un haircut, isn't it? I kind of, the hairdresser talked me into kind of fading up the sides a little bit, or at the very least not going with a complete undercut, which is normally what I do.
Right.
And she's, let's try this. And I was like, oh, that looks fine. And then, the Kim Jong-un comment came. So
is Dennis Rodman going to be joining us later?
Maybe. It'd be an interesting interview.
It would be. It'd be fascinating.
It'd be utterly fascinating. But yeah, I finally cut my shaggy mane, and I miss it already.
You miss it, really?
Yeah, I miss it.
What do you miss about it? What are the aspects of the
I don't know. I tend to play with my hair when I'm bored and nervous, and
Sure.
now there's less of it to play with. And it is kind of nice, because I remember when I would have really short hair on my sides, I would kind of run it along.
Sure.
And that has a tactile feeling that's kind of nice and soothing. So
now what do you play with when you're bored?
my dick.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
There you go. Put
Just
that on
cutting
the
straight-
tee and you
just
just hit it
cutting
right
straight-
off. There you go.
Just cutting straight to it. No bullshit here. If there's one thing that can be said about the Bronze Medalist podcast, is that we're no bullshit.
No bullshit at all.
No bullshit whatsoever. I totally didn't cut out 20 minutes of discussion last week about Finland and Dungeons and Dragons and Star Wars RPGs. I just decided to cut out all of that.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Is it a 30-minute podcast last week?
It was 45, I
45?
think. So yeah, I cut out quite a bit last week just because I was like, this is not
This does not
necessary. At the very least, it shouldn't be at the end as well. Other things that I did, I mentioned this to you.
Yeah.
Because one of my favorite games that I've never finished is The Witcher 3.
Oh, sure.
Like I played it on my Xbox One a while back, and I never finished it. And I had a lot of fun. I really liked it. It's a fantastic story. I just never finished it for some reason. Mm-hmm. It was at a point in my life where I was just playing less and less and less of video games, and just couldn't summon the willpower to regularly play games anymore for some reason.
Couldn't summon the power to play Witcher 3.
Yeah, and it's because it's a difficult game, a fairly difficult game in some respects. Mm-hmm. So I decided now that I've got this big, huge chunk of a PC that I might replay it.
Why not?
But there's a problem, something to do with my video, with my graphics card, or the driver for my graphics card, where about every 10 seconds, if I'm in motion, the lighting will flash to whatever the brightest setting at that particular time of day in the open world is. So if I'm inside or in a cave, suddenly I'll have flashes of whatever the lighting conditions are outside, and it's a very strobe-like effect and extremely annoying.
It's gonna make you have a seizure.
I don't know about that, but I'm not epileptic. It could certainly if I were, but yeah, I'm just it really kind of turned off my desire to play it, and I was looking for a way to fix it, and the way to fix it is rolling back your driver for your graphics card to a previous version, but I don't have any of the previous versions because they haven't put or my computer has the newest version and only the newest version.
So everything's just too new is the problem.
Yeah, there are no previously downloaded versions on my computer that I could roll back to.
Can't find an old driver.
Yeah, I might be able to download one. I probably can find a way to download one of the old drivers and switch back to that, because I don't think it would cause any problems with my other games, because all of those have been fine and reliable. It's just The Witcher is kind of a notoriously finicky series on PC. If you can get it working, I reckon it's worth it, because the moments where the lighting wasn't going fucking nuts were absolutely gorgeous.
Nice.
Like, the character models weren't quite as good as I thought they would be, but the environments are fucking insane.
Nice.
And the character models can be forgiven a little bit because it's a third-person game and that sort of thing. But just walking through the world was gorgeous, and then the lighting stuff would happen.
Now you can't switch it back to first person.
No, it is not
only
variable.
third person.
It is not like a Bethesda game where you can do either or.
And you can't do sixth person.
You could not do. I don't even know what sixth person would be.
It happens in another dimension.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. What is fourth person?
I don't know. I have no idea.
You skipped past the other ones.
You're watching someone else play the video game on a screen.
So that's just streaming then. Is fourth person.
Sure.
Okay. Could do that.
That wouldn't be as fun.
We always talk about the weather because people care about that, and they don't. But
yeah, no. I just wish it would make up its mind. I mean, we're at freezing right now. I want to get to the point where I'm riding my motorbike here.
Yeah. Well, like it was for one day this weekend.
Right.
It was up to 60, and then a couple days previous to that, it had been up to 60. There was a 2-day period in between there where we got teleported to Niflheim, the lands of mist.
The lands of mist. It was the lands of mist, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it wasn't poisonous mist.
It was not poisonous mist, but it certainly was pretty misty out there. Some Stephen King bullshit going on for pretty much the entire day, and it's just miserable. I hate fog. I hate it.
All right, and then we learned something about Kale. He hates fog.
I hate fog. I hate spring.
You hate spring.
I hate spring in general. Spring is my least favorite season because it is by far the least consistent.
Right. I don't mind June. June is fine. June is the only spring month I'm down with.
I guess. Yeah, most of June is technically spring.
Yeah.
I'm still in the mindset of thinking of summer as any time I wouldn't have had school.
Sure.
I'm still in that mindset. So to me, summer starts, in
the end of May.
Yeah, and the last third of May is when summer starts. The last 10 days of May. And now I guess summer doesn't end until, now truly the end of summer is whenever the weather stops being nice.
Right.
But the beginning of summer to me is still the end of May. So yeah. The cane was back this week.
Duquesne?
The cane.
Well, the cane. Oh, yeah, my cane.
Your cane was back this week.
Yeah, well, you know what?
The old man.
I never hurt my back doing anything heroic. It's never rescuing a baby from a tree, or I don't know when that would ever happen.
How would the baby get up there?
I have no idea. They climb the tree not knowing. See, because the babies are dumb. They don't know that they climb a tree. They don't know how to get back down. Next thing you know, you got a baby in a tree.
Now I'm picturing a baby climbing the tree, and it's kind of hilarious.
Yeah, no, I
you're rescuing cats from
a burning bush. I don't know why
the bush is just
the bush is on fire. Get the cat. Yeah.
There's the bush sitting there, and it's going. I am what I am, and what I am is a bush that's on fire, trying to burn this child.
Well, no, it's a cat. Remember, the baby's in the tree. The cat's in the burning bush.
This is a strange world we've stepped into. I don't know if I like it.
So yeah, no, I didn't have the cane today. I just had the cane yesterday.
Yeah, you had it yesterday, and we're groaning in pain all day, and you were groaning in pain all day today as well. But you decided to forego
forego the cane.
Your walking your walking
cane.
Assistance device.
Yes.
I wanted to make it sound complicated and fancy.
But it's not. It's a cane.
It's not, yeah.
Yeah, some of them groaning, though, had to do with work. Had to do with, yeah.
Today was a weird day.
Yeah.
When you had a script that had to be
redone a couple of times.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happens.
It happens. Part of the territory. So we got some beer in front of us.
We do, and
as always.
I didn't calculate that it was your turn to buy the beer this week.
Yeah, it is my turn to buy the beer this week. So what we have is Deer brand, made by Shells. It's an American lager.
Augustus Shell makes a fine product.
Augustus Shell.
Yeah.
Augustus Gloop makes a fine beer. And also dies terribly.
Yeah.
Since 1860. So yeah, it's an American lager.
It's pretty good. It's got a deer on the label. It's a red label.
It indeed does have a deer on the label. Yeah, it's just a nice...
light lager.
Yeah, I don't know how dark this actually is because it's in a brown bottle. It's how does it smell? It smells like beer.
Yeah, it does. It has a beer smell to it.
It's just beer, basically. There's nothing too fancy going on. It's good though.
You'll have to try one of the ones that I brought.
Yeah. What did you bring?
What I brought was Deschutes Just Tap Baltic Porter.
Oh, Deschutes. I've had some Deschutes before. This almost looks like a tiny wine bottle.
Yeah, it does.
Do they make those? Do they make 12-ounce wine bottles?
They do. You can buy those.
I suppose that's a wine cooler, isn't it?
Well, you can buy just regular wine in those. I mean, like a lot of times when I end up at a hotel with my family, my wife is drinking bottle, a little bit of sipping it out of the bottle.
I'm thinking now of what you always see of in videos of like Russian gopniks or whatever, basically the Russian equivalent of a redneck,
right?
Where they have those like 12-ounce bottles of vodka, basically, and they're always walking around in their Adidas tracksuits and that sort of thing. Cheeky breaky.
I'm drinking vodka out of a small bottle.
Steve Damke, cheeky breaky.
Pravda.
There's a. I watched recently what is right now the most popular song in Russia. It's a song called Skibidi.
Skibidi.
It was the music video was so fucking bizarre.
Really?
The song was okay. It was a weird enough song, but it's not any weirder necessarily than like when Gangnam Style was the big thing.
Or the tongue clicking song.
Yeah.
Who was that? Was that also Russian? Or was that?
Are you talking about? Yeah. Well, that was from years ago.
Yeah, that was many years ago.
He's Latvian actually.
Is it Latvian? Okay.
I can't remember. I believe most of his music is done in Russian, I believe, but he's his nationality would be Latvian, but I can't remember that particular singer's name. But.
I would have kind of said Martian if I would.
Yeah, but like 1920s Martian, where they're just people that dress weird.
Yeah,
that kind of Martian. Like John Carter Martian.
Yes.
Yeah, I watched that, and the music video was really fucking weird. And there's a romantic version.
A romantic version of that song, which is mostly meant to be like a dance song, because there's a dance in the music video that you're supposed to do. So there's the romantic version of it that's even better, and the music video is even weirder. A man falls in love with Godzilla. Oh, sure, like you do.
Yeah.
Was he coming out of a grocery store?
He was not.
Okay.
God, yeah. I had the other night. I've been having a lot of dreams lately.
Weird, and they're weird dreams.
Yeah, they're relatively weird dreams.
And I've been hearing about them.
Last night, I don't remember. That's always, yeah, and I'm sorry because you never ask. No one ever asks, like, hey, have you had any weird dreams lately?
Well, funny thing
you ask. Like, no one ever asks.
Yeah.
And I'm the type of person that will offer up information entirely unprompted, and I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. It makes the day go by.
Okay.
It works, man.
But, yeah, I had a dream the other night that woke me up. I had like a couple of basically nightmares where I was in a grocery store and I could hear Godzilla in the distance. He was doing the classic Godzilla roar. Yeah. And I could hear him, and he was stomping around Tokyo City like a big playground when suddenly Batman burst from the shade. And that was just reflex.
Yeah.
And I was checking out. I had a big full cart full of groceries, and I was like, I need to get these home because I'm hungry. I think I had gone to the grocery store maybe earlier.
In actually IRL, you'd done that, yeah.
Which maybe is why my brain was like, oh, grocery stores.
Sure. And
suddenly I look out into the parking lot, and there he is. It's Godzilla. He's slightly smaller than normal, but still the classic, more towards the classic Japanese Godzilla.
Sure. And it wasn't Godzuki, if you remember that character.
He was not that small.
Okay.
He was the size of the 99 Godzilla.
Okay.
The American 99 Godzilla was fairly small, but he had the form of your classic Japanese man in a rubber suit. Which could be something completely different now that I'm thinking about it.
Tell me about your mother.
But at any rate, so there he is, and I'm like, he's going to charge up and use his atomic breath on this grocery store. I got to get out of here. So I start walking to the back exit. There's no back exit. I'm considering going out the emergency doors at the back, and I'm kind of hesitating because like these are emergency doors. There's going to be alarm. That's going to be a whole big thing. When really, in reality, I'd be like, it's fucking Godzilla, go. But I was the only one going to the emergency doors because he was after me
personally,
and everybody knew he was after me. And I decided to go through the emergency doors at the grocery store, and I hear Godzilla roar, and then I wake up. This is actually one of the second nightmare I've had about Godzilla, and both times he has been after me specifically in a situation like Charlie Day from the first Pacific Rim, where the kaiju are coming after him specifically because he was in the drift,
right,
and drifted with a kaiju brain. So, yeah, it was like that. I had another one later on that night where there were if you're listening, and Hannah, if you're listening, you know this geography perfectly well. There is a hill directly across from the front of my house. That
Your
goes
mom and
up
dad's
to
house.
my mom and dad's house. And it's a fairly tall hill that goes, it's pretty steep too, because it's what was at one point the edge of the riverbank. And I was looking at the picture window at my parents' house at this hill, and there was this little cove. If you think of like what the hobbits duck into in Fellowship of the Ring when they first run into one of the Nazgul,
sure,
it was kind of like that, but in the side of this hill.
Okay.
And I start looking at it, and I'm looking at it closer, and I'm like, are there people in there? Are there people in there? And then pretty soon I realized there are several like dirty, naked, hag-like women in there that then
lock eyes with me across the distance and start sprinting towards the house. And they were probably screaming. I don't recall screaming necessarily, but that was also a thing that happened. So I don't know what the fuck was up with my brain the other night, but it was unpleasant.
You're having some stress. I feel like maybe
having
that's
some stress from somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know exactly what's going on, but it woke me up a couple of times, so I haven't been sleeping great. Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know,
man. Okay, should we get to talking about In Flames?
Sure.
So In Flames, as you've told me, is one of your favorite bands, maybe your favorite band.
They're up there.
They're up there for you?
Yes. I love all their albums.
So this is their album from 2011. It's called Sounds of a Playground Fading. Motherfucker. I can't talk today. Sounds of a Playground Fading. The first question I think that we have to ask. Yeah. Well, okay, we have to tell you about what this album is, where it's from. So this is what I would call it an alternative metal.
Alternative metal?
In Flames, yeah. I generally understand to be, or at least when they started, they were one of the front runners of melodic death metal.
Melodic death metal, the Gothenburg flavor.
Yes, the Gothenburg flavor of melodic death metal.
Yeah.
They've slowly transitioned towards alternative metal throughout their career. They're from Gothenburg, Sweden. That's what they do. How does this album smell to you? If you had to give this album a nose, what's the nose of this album?
Okay, here's the thing. Now, the story behind this for me, and the reason that I chose this one is because 2011 is when we had the big flood here.
Yeah.
And this was a brand new album, and I bought it. And at the time, I was homeless. My wife had taken our newborn son and our daughter out of the country because we were homeless and she had nowhere to work, so she went to her parents' house
in Canada.
And I was sleeping.
She didn't flee the country. She just went home.
Yeah, she
just not terribly far on the other side of the border, right?
No, 50 miles away.
Yeah.
And but I mean, might as well have been on another planet because I couldn't go.
And someone needed to stay here, and you work here, so you needed to stick around.
Yeah, and I was staying in hotels when I could, and I was living in a pop-up tent trailer, living on a friend's couch, and I was doing a lot of work. And while I was doing the work, I was listening to this album. And this album just sort of meant a lot to me. Yeah, just because of the time period. So whenever I hear this album, sometimes I smell floodwater.
Okay. Yeah, that's a very vivid sense memory then of this sort of thing. I think I would have similar memories, and not necessarily specifically sense memories, but like emotional triggers for certain albums. Specifically for the year 2011, I think that the big one for me was Nightmare by Avenged Sevenfold.
Oh, sure.
That's, right around the time I was getting into metal, basically. It was 2011, and that was also the summer that we were out of the house and living in a trailer park for a couple of months.
Now, why was that?
We live along the Missouri.
Oh, okay. Oh, so for a similar reason.
Yeah, same reason.
Yeah.
Water. And our house didn't end up getting inundated, but our yard was pretty thoroughly fucked.
And not in the good way.
Yeah, not in the good way. And so it was, my dad was really watching the discharge levels from the dam, and because the lake was getting really, really high, and the Army Corps of Engineers was being fucking dumb and didn't start letting more water out earlier because they thought, it'll be fine, and then
don't worry about it.
And then people started to have to worry about it.
Sure.
So we were living in our camper in the trailer park for a couple months and that's really not where a 14-year-old boy wants to be.
No.
And I was working my first job that summer, and I would come home every now and then to where we still had the Wi-Fi hooked up. I think we had Wi-Fi in the camper as well, but I think we also had it wasn't Wi-Fi, it was just the internet, and the laptop was still there. And so whenever my dad and I would come back to the house to just check things out and make sure the pumps were working and whatnot, I would be listening to Nightmare. The other album for me that has really vivid emotional memories is what is it? Hymn of a Broken Man by a band called Times of Grace, which is a spin-off of Killswitch Engage.
Oh, okay.
It was at the time their former singer. Their current singer At the time, he was their former singer. It's a whole big deal.
Sure, a lot of drama.
He had left the band and come back, and their guitarist had teamed up to do a basically private, not private, but
like a solo,
sort of a solo project or a spin-off band or that sort of thing. It was Jesse Leach and Adam Dutkovich. And yeah, I was listening to that album a lot as my dad had started doing chemo when he had
that's a big deal
colon
too.
cancer. So yeah, that was I have a tough time listening to that album just because I mean everything was fine. My dad's fine now.
Sure.
And it was just it's tough now listening to that and just thinking about him coming home after work and coming into my room to talk to me, and you know, I was like, hey, how was your day? Oh, it was good. How are you doing? I'm tired. Oh yeah, of course you're tired. And then as I would be telling him about something, he would fall asleep on my bed.
Sure.
And I would just kind of leave. There were many times I would just leave him there until it was dinner time, and then I would come and get him. And he would be asleep on my bed with his legs hanging off. And it was, that's, so I think of that a lot whenever I hear that album, and it's a little weird. For me, this album, what did I write down for the smell? I was trying to come up with smells. I decided on Festival Sweat.
Festival Sweat. Yeah, I can hear that.
Because
I can hear Festival Sweat.
This is very much I'd say arena type album. This is something, or not arena necessarily, but definitely like a big, like whacking open air,
huge production,
and very big. It feels like this is the sort of thing that you would play to a really big crowd. Is how it feels to me. It's very anthemic in a lot of ways. So Festival Sweat, just and the whole festival miasma of just sweat and weed and cigarette smoke and cheap beer. It's cheap beer, but it's extremely expensive.
And farts, you don't know where they came from.
You don't know where the farts came from. The distant, to bring sounds into it, the distant sounds of another show, of a playground fading, and also another show across the venue. The occasional smell of sex that someone had in one of the outhouses, porta potties. They're porta potties.
There was no half moon on a big wooden structure. Clean up their outhouse.
We've got 20 concrete outhouses out here, and they all have big vaults. Someone's gonna have to come and clean these out
to make them an out home.
This outhouse, make this outhouse an out home. But yeah, that's the nose to me. Next question: does it slap? Since it's your album,
I feel like it slaps.
You think it slaps?
Yes.
I'm not sure if it slaps. It doesn't. It didn't make me slap.
It didn't make you slap?
It didn't quite make me slap.
Okay, now I'm going to say this. Today I listened to it again. I've listened to it maybe 100 times or more. And I listened to it then with just strictly in the moment sort of, this came out and I enjoyed it and I'm associating with this situation and everything else like that.
Yeah.
That's how I listened to it before. Today I listened to it with more critical ear.
Yeah.
It's not as good as I thought it was.
It happens sometimes. It's sad to hear it that way, and it's sad for me to hear you say that, and because I know there's been plenty of albums that I have enjoyed in the past that I've revisited, and that I didn't end up caring for as much. Like really, the type of band that In Flames and those early Melodeath bands that inspired is so much of the first metal bands I started listening to.
Sure.
Like so much of 2005 era metalcore. Like the metalcore that was popular then. So As I Lay Dying and Killswitch Engage and like early Parkway Drive and stuff before 2007 to 2010 where all the really synthy poppy metalcore started to take over. A lot of those bands, I've re-listened to some of those albums from back then, and they didn't hold up for me quite as well. And I think for me, it's less because I'm listening to them more critically, and now it's just because I have listened to so much more diverse stuff that it just doesn't doesn't appeal to me now the way it does then. And you feel like it should, right?
Right.
Because for me specifically, that's what I listened to when I was, 14, 15, 16, which they always say that's going to be the music that you'll love forever. That you'll love for the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. And it kind of isn't. Like there's a lot of it from back then that it's just like out of it. that I've grown out of. And I've grown into heavier and weirder stuff.
Don't get me wrong, I still love this album an awful lot.
Yeah.
And I still will listen to it
will.
Front to back.
Yeah.
Like occasionally I'll be doing dishes and I'll pull this up. I mean, not over the last 6 months because I'm always occupied with something else while I'm doing dishes.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Speaking of front to back, I think that's part of what kept me from enjoying it quite as much is because this is a very lengthy album.
Yeah, it is very lengthy.
It's 53 minutes of sort of like arena style alternative metal, which alternative metal is not really my thing.
Right.
It's just, it had kind of already come and gone and had its day in the sun before I started. Before I started listening to metal, with Korn's peak popularity and that sort of thing. Alternative metal has sort of faded away, but you've still got the big bands that are around, that are still around.
This still has that melodic aspect to it, which I really enjoy.
Yes, it does. It's In Flames is a survivor, by the way. Like they are a survivor of a band. They started melodic death metal, which is one of those genres that really kind of came and went pretty quick as far as being in vogue in the metal community.
But they stuck around.
And now they're doing alternative metal, and that's the same thing has kind of happened with that genre. So they just have kept going, and their fan base is still growing, and they're still performing and doing huge shows and putting out albums. They have, it was like last month they put out a new album?
They did, yeah. Yeah.
So they're still being successful.
Eye the Mask, which I almost picked that one, but I haven't listened to it enough.
How similar would you say is it to this one?
It's more pop. It's more than this one is. It's more accessible to a broader audience than this one is.
Wow, and I would say this one's already pretty accessible, relatively speaking, because while there is certainly what I would call screamed vocals, they're almost all sort of the half screamed, half sung type. They're sort of a melodic scream.
Anders Frieden has really changed his vocal style since 1991, and
he's very good at it. He's very consistent. So speaking of names, the band members, we've got Anders Frieden on vocals, Björn Gelote, Guttel,
yeah.
Björn Flemnoise on guitars, Peter Ewers on bass, and Daniel Svensson on drums. Can you tell they're Scandinavian yet?
Yeah. And this is the first album without Jesper. Jesper was one of the founding members of the band, and he just all of a sudden left.
Jesper, you mean?
I forgot what his last name is. Jesper.
You keep on thinking. I was trying to make a joke.
Go ahead.
Jesper, you mean Ava Green's character from Casino Royale?
Yes, Ava Green's character from Casino Royale. Yes.
It took me that long for such a stupid fucking joke, too.
Thanks, Kale. Thank you.
Such a bad joke. But what was his position in the band? What did he do?
He played guitar and keyboards. He did both.
And there's a lot on this. There's a lot of keyboards.
Yeah,
on
and
this
they actually
album.
worked with an orchestra really deeply for the first time on this one.
Really, I guess I didn't quite pick up on that.
On the song. What's the name of the song?
I don't know.
I'm so bad with song names because I have a tendency to just buy an album and just listen to it
all the way and not look at it. Yeah.
Right. Something Dawn. New Dawn. The song New Dawn, yeah. There's a lot of
Breaking Dawn by Stephanie Meyer, and not New Moon by Stephanie Meyer.
There are no vampires or werewolves.
That's a shame.
It's a shame. There should be.
There should be.
As far as I know, I mean, some of the guys look like werewolves.
They could be, or if they shaved, they would be vampires. They've got those chiseled Scandinavian faces. Could be could be either or. Who knows? But so New Dawn would be, or there's orchestral pieces on there?
There's chamber music that plays along with it.
A bit of chamber.
A bit of chamber. There's a chamber.
A little bit of
chamber
music.
So this didn't quite slap for you, is what you're saying?
It didn't. Yeah, it didn't quite slap for me. I think it's just, it's not quite my thing. Is the main thing for me, and because of that, like when we get down to like what place it gets, I don't know how accurately I can really give it a placing, because it's just I feel like this. I've become the sort of person where this album is just not really for me anymore, in a sense, where like I've started listening to, especially lately, what I've been listening to, because I've been listening to so much like really kind of down in the, or out in the woods, like black metal and stuff, and so much ambient stuff in the last 2 years, that it's starting to become not my, I'm starting to specialize.
Sure.
The way that a lawyer or a doctor might.
Yeah. Now you're post grad with metal.
Yeah. I'm post metal.
You're post metal.
Post metal is probably the best. Like there's post metal is a very broad term, and a lot of the bands that I've really started to dig in the last year kind of fit into that category.
Sure.
Or could be shoved into it violently and made to fit. Like you've got a turkey that's too big for your sink, and you're just kind of shoving it down there.
It's a tersinkin.
A tersinkin. A sink inside of a turkey.
Yeah, a sink inside of a turkey, inside of a duck, inside of a grasshopper.
We need we need bigger turkeys.
We do.
What if you made a turducken in Turkey? Then
the pause was the funny part. Just so you know. You made a turducken in Turkey. Oh, what have I said?
What have I done? I have no punchline.
I have nowhere to go with this.
There's no punchline. Ooh, here's an idea. Could you make like a turducken with? So it's a Cornish game hen. Inside of a duck, inside of a turkey, inside of an...
Side of beef?
I was going to say an emu.
Oh, an emu.
Inside of an
staying
emu.
with birds. Okay.
Inside of an ostrich.
And then possibly, if you could find a... what's the bird, the prehistoric...
a moa?
Moa, inside a moa.
Well, unfortunately, those are extinct.
Well, yeah.
But...
This would be an expensive meal.
Contact John Hammond. Make sure he spares no expense. I don't think you would even need a tree sap. Tree sap?
Tree sap?
Tree sap. There's
That's
probably
from Creed.
With bows wide open.
Did you say bowels?
I said bows.
Oh, boughs, like a tree.
Like a boughs
gotcha.
of a tree. Here under the tree.
I don't know.
Under
the canopy.
This is actually the second time I've sung With Arms Wide Open on this podcast, if that can be believed. It's just so easy. Scott Stapp impressions are easy enough.
They are. You just got to clench your jaw like you have tetanus.
Just kind of. I think that's the only Creed thong. It's Creed thong.
The Creed thong. Oh, the Creed thong.
The Creed thong. The only Creed song I can think of right now. What's the other one? What's the other one that got?
Can you take me?
Yeah, there we go. Can you take me to a place where going dreams?
I used to play that on the radio. I used to play both of those songs on the radio.
I mean, if you were on a station where they could be played, then you were playing them. Cause
back in the day. In fact, even now, when they say, "Hey, you're on a radio station," you don't say, "Yeah, this is the genre I prefer." No, that's just not a thing. You just
can't. If I did that, I wouldn't have a job.
No, you wouldn't.
Not in this state.
No, you wouldn't.
Okay.
No, I used to run a polka countdown. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that sounds like fun. I could get into some polka.
Yeah.
Polka dots
Yeah.
in my itsy bitsy teeny weeny yellow
Polka dot bikini.
polka dot bikini.
Right. That you wore for the first time today.
Yeah, it was. I was really. It was a personal time in the 2 hours. You need some eye bleach.
Need some eye bleach.
Yeah, that wouldn't be. No one should ever have to see that.
I like you, Kale. I don't want to see you in a bikini.
I don't want to see me in a bikini, so don't you worry about it. No one alive is ever gonna see me in a bikini, including me. Okay, where were we at?
What's the score?
Yeah, I haven't said what the score is. So I found 9 reviews, put them together, got the average for Sounds of a Playground Fading. It's not great.
No.
It says 62.
Right.
That was the average.
6 stars out of 10.
Yeah, there's Metacritic. I got, I think, Metal Sucks, All Metal. I can't remember if it was Metal Sucks. A couple of them did out of 7 because fuck me, I guess.
Fuck me.
Fuck you. We're going to make you do basic math. Find a percentage.
Your math is 10 based? Yeah, this is out of 7.
It's out of 7, motherfuckers. Yeah, so they had to make me convert, into X out of 100. I had to do I had to fucking write it down because I'm stupid. I remember how to do that, but
Sure.
It's like, yeah, that was pleasant. Thank you for putting it out of 7. The most negative reviews by far, I looked at Encyclopedia Metallicum. Holy shit.
Didn't like it?
Most of them. There were a couple in the 90s.
Yeah.
And I kind of did a rough average between all of them. There were a couple at 0.
Really?
Some fanboys got real pissed off about this record.
Sure.
There was like 0s and 5s and 20s.
Well, this is a lot different than their earlier work. I mean, this is...
Yeah. It'd be a pretty difficult stretch to call this melodic death metal.
Right.
By any...
Right. And see, I was introduced to them their previous album, which the name is escaping me right now.
In Flames, Still on Fire.
Still on No, that's the sequel. No, I'm part of this. I'm
High on Fire.
No. Anyway, I had to go and actually purchase their earlier albums and to do an actual like Just Erase and things like that, Horacle and various things like that.
That one with the jester, because that's their thing is jesters.
Yes,
I've found that I've discovered that is that's like sort of their logo. That's their Hatchet Man.
Yes,
if you will.
If you're a juggalo,
whoop whoop,
for In Flames.
It's a possibility.
You're a jester head. Yeah.
A jester head.
That's actually it.
That's what they call it.
Yeah.
Oh wow. I don't know how I feel about that. I wouldn't want to be called a jester head. No. Silent Planet does a thing where they call their fans lovers.
Lovers? Ooh, that's weird. It's
a little weird. I get where they're coming from though, because they're a very sort of peace and love type group.
Sure.
So they're saying, hey, you love everybody. We love everybody. You guys should love everybody.
Thanks for coming, lovers.
That I don't think Garrett quite says it that way. And I don't think he calls out. They'll do that on social media, but they won't. I haven't been to a show where he calls the crowd that. It's a little weird. There's another metalcore band that I liked very briefly. They call their fans Runaways, which is the most fucking cringy shit to me.
Why?
Because their fans are all 14-year-olds.
Oh, creepy.
Yeah.
How do they deal with groupies?
I don't know. That's a whole thing. That became a whole thing with the Warped Tour crowd.
Yeah.
There was a pop punk band called, I think, like Front Porch Step or something like that, where the lead singer in the middle of Warped Tour got accused of having sex with an underage fan.
Ooh.
And
Yuck.
As far as I know, he stepped down over it.
He stepped down from the band.
Yeah, so I think there might have been some veracity to those claims. I don't remember whatever became of that, but it was a whole big thing for like a whole summer.
Not
talking
good.
about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, jester heads.
Yeah.
If I were in a band, I'd love to call my fans Chuckle Fucks.
Chuckle Fucks?
Sup, Chuckle Fucks?
You know, I think I'm going to say that when I walk into work every day. The funny thing is, Jeff's the only one that's there when I get there.
There's only one person there.
Here's your newspaper, Chuckle Fuck.
License and registration, chicken fucker.
$20 says I won't call this guy. You know, I told you the band name that I want someday.
Chicken fucker?
No, I want that would be good. Points, but Bone.
Bone.
I want a band called Bone.
Bone?
Bone!
I am your superior officer.
Bone!
That's a Brooklyn Nine-Nine reference.
Oh, is it really?
There's
I haven't seen the show.
A great episode where Detective Diaz, they're on the night shift and their captain is having some marital troubles with his husband, and Diaz suggests repeatedly to Santiago that Kevin and Holtz just need to bone. Like that's the reason they're having problems, is that they just need to bone.
They need to bone
and get it over with. And
they hadn't boned already? They're married.
Well, it was because Holt was on the night shift. They hadn't boned in a while, and maybe that was why Holt was being so grumpy.
They need to bone. Such a delicate way to put it, too.
And so they were talking to Captain Holt, telling him, hey, you're being really grumpy, and all of us, in the bullpen are suffering. And Diaz just says, I think you and Kevin need to bone. And there's like a minute-long, just amazing editing sequence of Holt, like a whole bunch of jump cuts of him around the office just going, bone! And like ripping Diaz a new ass and just, how dare you! What happens in my private life is none of your business, Detective Diaz! Bone! Like it would be him ripping her, a new ass, and then a cut of him screaming bone, and then him going
bone.
It was just fucking hilarious. I love that show so much, and I have a Hulu subscription again because Spotify Premium, I think, was just like, hey, we're just gonna give this to you.
Sweet.
I didn't have to pay extra for it or anything.
So it just comes package.
I don't know if that's a whole thing now, or if it's because I've been a Spotify Premium subscriber for like 4 years or what. Because last year they had a package deal for like $2 extra a month that I didn't use because I was borrowing somebody's Hulu account at the time.
So you didn't need it.
I didn't need it. And then, I was in my car the other day and they're just like, hey, you want Hulu?
Yeah.
Sure. Is it free? Yeah. Okay. So, I got Hulu again, so now I can get back to watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine for season 6.
Because I do the Amazon thing. Should I get rid of my Amazon Music and do the Spotify so I can get hummus? Hulu.
Well, okay,
so Hulu.
your Amazon Music does not come bundled with Prime, right?
No, it doesn't.
It's its own separate thing.
Right.
I'd say Spotify's worth it. I would say that. Because, as long as you can still get all your Prime benefits...
Right.
Then I'd say, because I don't want to shill for Spotify, but I like it quite a bit. Sure. I know some people don't care for their radio function and say, oh, Pandora's better, but Pandora is literally built around that function.
Okay.
I'm an album guy.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Yeah. As evidenced by this podcast existing. So I'm an album guy. So Spotify is really kind of my thing. I make playlists and I put albums in them and do all that sort of thing. So
and I found albums I didn't think I would ever find anywhere on Amazon.
Yeah.
Can you do that on Spotify?
Pretty much, yeah. They've got most stuff, I'd say. A fair amount of older stuff. There are a couple bands that I can't think of off the top of my head that have some bits missing from their discography, but
I was looking for an Irish alternative band from the early 90s the other day. Yeah, because I hadn't heard them.
Maybe. I don't know.
And I found it on Amazon. I'm like, are you shitting me? This is on here?
If it's on Amazon, it's probably on Spotify, I would say. Because, they're a newer band, but they've got fucking Pissgrave on Spotify.
They have Pissgrave on Spotify?
So if they have Pissgrave on Spotify...
It's time to jump.
I think they have most of what you're looking for.
Sorry, Jeff Bezos.
Sorry, Jeff. You don't need any more of our money. Jeff. But I think most every album that we've done on here, I've been able to listen to on Spotify.
Sure.
I think.
Okay.
There might have been one. I think. It was what was the that one thrash band we did for
Forbidden?
Snow White.
No, Snow White. Oh, you couldn't find Snow White.
They were not on Spotify.
You had to find them on YouTube.
I think that this album wasn't on Spotify. I think they might have had one album or something on Spotify, but it was not the one that we listened to.
I have to go back and listen to that again. That was a fun album.
Yeah, go ahead. Be my guest.
Oh, thanks. Thank you for your permission.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I didn't bring my phone. What time is it?
I don't have my phone either. Okay.
Now you're making me get off. 56. Okay, we should get to wrapping up.
Okay. 7:56?
Yeah.
Okay. What is your favorite song in the album?
My favorite song, if we're playing favorites, I say probably Fear is the Weakness.
Fear is the Weakness, great song.
I got kind of a sort of a vibe that maybe they were talking about like the end of paganism in Sweden. I've kind of felt like maybe that's what they were talking about.
Yeah, I worried there are a couple of themes on this album that I hadn't really considered the lyrics before. It sounds like they might be talking about white supremacy.
Oof.
Yeah.
I've never heard that about In Flames before.
No, I hadn't either. I haven't heard that either. So I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. Thinking that no, that's not the case.
Sweden is a different...
Yeah.
I just tried this Baltic porter. Oh, that's why it tastes kind of weird to me. I'm not usually a porter guy.
Yeah. It's like a thick wine.
Yeah.
It's like a barley wine.
It's interesting. Oh, there's a Facebook message going off, probably asking where I'm at. So, yeah, we've got to wrap up a little bit early. Final thoughts about this.
I'm going to give this a silver.
A silver? I think I'm going to have to go with bronze, but again, that is a qualified bronze of this just isn't really my thing.
Not your thing.
So,
sure.
I'm going to have to give it a qualified bronze.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's about, I guess, all we have time for since I've got some things to go do
D&D.
now.
Apparently, he's got more important things to do.
I've got D&D. So, yeah, hopefully I've talked to the DM, and I hope we're able to do this or I'm able to do that on Tuesdays from now on.
Okay.
Maybe, but
we'll see.
We usually hang out for a while after this. But
if you want, I can get here at 6:30. I mean, that's cool.
Yeah, it's possible. I don't know. At any rate, thank you guys for listening to another episode of the Bronze Medalist Podcast. If you like this sort of thing, you can check us out on
social media.
We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We have an Instagram account. You can check those out. Share our stuff. Share it with your friends. Tell them, what's up? This is a thing I like. That's all you got to do. So, yeah, go and do that. In the meantime, next week, we should talk about what we're doing next week.
Panopticon.
We're doing Autumn Eternal by Panopticon.
Yeah.
Which is a American, originally Kentucky-based, now Minnesota-based black metal band, sort of atmospheric black metal band, little bits of death metal, little bits of post-rock, little bits of all kinds of stuff thrown in there, a little bit of bluegrass. So we will get to that. It's a very fascinating album that I've been really digging in the last month or so. So we'll talk about that next week. In the meantime, thanks again for listening to I'm trying to rush now. In the meantime, thanks again for listening to this episode of the Bronze Medalist Podcast. I'm Kale.
I'm OJ.
Congratulations.